The Exorcist 2 is the black sheep of the Exorcist franchise. I honestly think it is highly underrated. There is a good reason for that. The movie switched audience, so to say, because it is a new age movie, not a new age product, because the new age movement got hijacked by Christianity, unfortunately. The new age movement was about scientifically examining the supernatural, the claims of the supernatural. They really tried without success, but that's another point. I will briefly discuss how this affected the whole appreciation and themes of the movie, but let it be enough for now that this was not for the original Christian audience. Start with the or current priest doing an exorcism. It didn't end up well, to be honest, just you can see. And for some reason, this movie places the origin of Pazuzu into Africa instead of Iraq. I have no idea why, but it looks great, so I have no real complaint about it. On the other hand, Linda Blair returned, as well as her sister, and in this one, Linda Blair's character again tries to hook up. It's just a brief moment, but it is just there like in the first movie. So at least consistency for that. We also have crazy scientific equipment and research here too, just like in the first one. It works a little different here. It seems it's a parapsychologist experiment, but the whole place looks like they are researching or handling deaf people. What? I don't know why, but it just never gets included, this deaf thing. But it looks great. It's absolutely fascinating. And this movie makes an experiment, this retrograde hypnosis, which sends you back into your previous times, not exactly previous lives, but well, it's all there, and it becomes a time travel movie. The good part, the absolute good part is it explains how the old priest died in the first movie. And I just absolutely love the shit about it. That's how you implement time travel. You explain past events with it, and it just mixes together magic and science, and it's a core theme of this movie. Dream and magic and science and reality all get blends together into a big mush. But that's the whole point of this. And though there is not a real possession case here, it's more of a working up a PTSD experience, which is symbolized by possessions, a mix of the ideas expressed in the self-portraits of Linda Blair. Those are great pictures. I hope they sold them on some auction, because I want to see more props sold on auctions, because these are cool props. And the effects? Okay, it's half physical props and half Ghostbusters level CGI effects. They are great and used great. The locusts appear, and there are the whole cloud of locusts, and we find the young boy Father Marin exorcised in Africa because he became an entomologist, and this is when we first encounter his character as an adult character. He's appearing as a locust shaman, and that has all the reason to do it. Great concept, great execution. Now let's discuss this New Age portion of the film. What I think is the base of the rejection of this movie is that the demon is not Mr. Satan anymore, but the Lord of the evil spirits of the sky, winds of the sky, of the air. Didn't look up in the English translation, I'm sorry. This just lowers the stake in the eyes of a Christian. The demon gets placed from Middle East to Africa, so it's again not entirely Bible, Judeo-Christian culture, because that's Middle East and not really Africa, except that queen of whoever, David had an affair with her. So with this retcon, Father Merlin is not overcoming Satan, but and even becomes a heretic. Yes, Father Merlin is the title heretic priest, because his idea of this whole evil and good was not that God overcomes Satan and he becomes the martyr of the exorcism, but his idea of the whole of the religion was, and this is the key phrase of this movie, like the first movies was supposed to be fighting evil with evil, but never happened. Here the key phrase is the good locust, which never. So the idea behind the good locust is that supernatural is inherently evil. What is a weird thing for a Christian idea of it, because God is supernatural. But here, supernatural is inherently evil, so to say. It's not exactly, because you see, the supernatural entities without human supervision are inherently becoming evil. But the idea of Father Marin's character is that the good locust will appear, who are people of prophets and Jesus and Reagan and all that, who will spread the genetics in the whole of the population. And the special thing is in them is they can overcome the temptation of the supernatural and get control over it. It's a very New Age idea that the simple humans can become God. So in this philosophy, God is either irrelevant or inherently evil, and humans are achieving the level of God, or in the New Age movement, they almost become equal to God, making God, in the eye of the New Age movement or the original New Age movement, unnecessary. So the reason of the rejection of The Exorcist, Heretic. Sorry, this movie also lost the, so it's Exorcist 2, the Heretic, is that this is no longer a Christian movie. It's not propagating God. It comes from a different angle to this fight of the good and evil. Here, humans are created in the image of God, if you want, and their job is to overcome evil. So, evil is really the trial of humanity and not something that God's job to toss aside, but really the trial or gauntlet run of humanity. This results for a very different core audience than the first movie, for a very secularized audience, and maybe that era was not prepared for it, but as a movie, it's a fantasy horror. What is a good idea? And I highly recommend this film as a movie because the plot is coherent. The characters are interacting with each other. Like when first Regan and the priest gets into one place, they immediately notice each other, and it happens in the first, I don't know, 5-10 minutes of the movie. And Regan becomes a very proactive character. She's not just suffering through this whole thing, but when she sees that the father is sent away and she's sent into this experiment, she asks that maybe the priest can, watch this experiment, how it goes, because she realizes the reason he's here must be something related to her, so she wants him involved in the case as much as it is possible. And it gets more fortunate, even the priest getting explained what happened with Father Marin, what is the whole thing. He came here to investigate the case of the death of Father Marin. It's a very good writing, and it just flows, and you see why the priest gets involved in this new exorcism, if you want, and how Megan goes back to her old experience. What are the stakes for both of them, for the psychologist, the scientist, researcher? What is the stakes for the church? And as we do see actual supernatural events for the whole of humanity, and we see how the good locust has the effect because the older sister of Regan, gets touched by Pazuzu, and she gets saved like Regan was in the first movie. It's just a whole thing, and it's spiritual experience, if you want, but in a very secular way. So it's really for all audience, and it has great visuals and good storytelling. A story can follow. Yes, it is very strange, and it blends together reality and symbolism, and you really benefit just stopping the movie if you need and just think through what you experienced, decipher the metaphors and how this is a possible reality. It's a magical reality. Yeah, that's the one. It's a magical reality all throughout. And I really like this.